couple of questions. And it goes back to what you were just saying there, sister. How do we create a unified process of return? Because my experience has been that I hear people saying, I'm going back, and it's very much an individual thing. I'm going back.
Good point.
Sure.
And for me, I really see the process of going back as a collective thing. So how do we do that?
So as a diplomat, you move around these circles and you have organized events and panels. How would you address this question, Sid?
What I would say, going back to what Nana had said, we're familiar with the Tsotsoo scheme or pyramid partner, whatever you would like to call it. That is a good way of coming together and saying, okay, because to be honest with you, depending on what areas you go to in Ghana, land can be very expensive. So if you want to live in, you know, the very exclusive parts of Ghana, like East Legon and airport.
Say no more. That's where we're going, right?
Then be prepared to spend. But obviously, as an individual, and especially, you know, living and working in the diaspora, it's hard because you still have your everyday bills and family and all those things to pay for. So, you know, create groups, come together and say, right, okay, we want to open up a school. Come together and build a school. And then you can be teaching a lot of, as well as the Ghanaian curriculum, you can also incorporate your own curriculum in there as well that you feel, okay, it's lacking in the Ghana education system, i.e. in terms of our identity, our culture. So let's start incorporating that. Bring the teachers from over here. And put them into the system out there. But it's you know, I have a very good friend that has actually done that. She spent, I mean, even though she done it with her husband, but she predominantly done it by herself for the good part of 10 years, building a school. And she's a mother of 2, and she's done that. I mean, 10 years sounds like a long time, but it can be done. It's achievable. So so I think definitely coming together, finding like your strengths, your talents with one another. You know, I have another friend that got into, you know, almost died in the UK with a stabbing issue, turned his life around, and he's doing amazing work in film in Ghana and Nigeria. So come together, find your strengths, and then work as a collective.
And there's only time for one question. And one of the things I think we have to appreciate is many of us have lived in England, but most of us haven't even traveled throughout Europe. Because there might have been greener pastures for many of us in different parts of Europe. So similarly, you might go to Ghana as a first port of call or your first stop, but then you will country hop throughout Africa, and wherever your spirit, you know, is most comfortable, then that's where you would lay down your roots. But I think it's important for us as a people to get into the habit of spending money on travel rather than clothing, and rather than cars, and rather than some of these other superficial things. We should have a budget for travel annually.
That's right.
As a people, because we're not as well traveled as we should be. Maybe we're still a bit seasick from the transatlantic slave trade, but we have to break that and get into the habit, because you can go throughout Europe for 15, 20 pounds, 100 pounds, you know, for a return ticket. Many of us who are from parts of the Caribbean, it's England, Jamaica, England, Jamaica, 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 England. Yeah? And we don't tour the Caribbean. Where obviously, if we went on a cruise, you literally do the whole Caribbean on a cruise. So I say all of that as encouragement. That don't just necessarily see, you know, your destiny being just one place. Yes, go to that one place, but from there, you know, move around. I was speaking to a friend of mine who lives and is from Guinea-Conakry, and she was sharing with me how much investment Tony Blair and his family is doing in Guinea-Conakry. So there are so many people doing things because we're not doing anything. That's right. We're here. And as Sister just mentioned, if we know that summer breaks are coming up, we know years in advance. Every year our children are going to break up from school and be off school between 6 and 8 weeks. We should, if we work for someone, we should save our holidays for that period. And that should be the period that we pack up our children's belongings and go traveling for the 6 weeks. And we should come back just the day before they return back to school. But we don't make provisions. So we keep on becoming victims and victimized. But if we plan in advance, then most of the problems we suffer and the stresses, they can be eliminated just by looking at a year planner and putting something in every month. Yeah? So let's try and practice that. Let's try and practice that. The sister said that it took one of her colleagues 10 years to build something, and it seems like a long time. Well, if you're blessed, 10 years, 2029 is coming. The question is, will we be alive and what position will we be in? And if we don't plan to be around in 2029, then we're going to take every day, week, month as it comes. And guess what? We'll be in meetings like this forever, trying to think of how we can be inspired to do something, where if we are in the meeting now and we are inspired, we should get out our yearly calendar and start making moves immediately. All right? Don't waste time.
Let's touch on the aspects of travel, like what Minister is saying, it's absolutely true. For many years, like for a good part of 10 years, I would say, I was constantly going back and forth to Ghana, especially at Christmas, because, you know, it's the party time. That was so I was constantly going back, and then, you know, a friend that I knew for quite a while she's from Equatorial Guinea, and I'd never heard of this country before. It's a very, very small country with a population of like less than 1 million. And she said, just come along. And I went with her. And to be honest with you, I stopped going to Ghana for a good part of 6 years because there was so much opportunity in Equatorial Guinea. I mean, they're the only African country that speaks Spanish. And I couldn't understand or speak a word of Spanish, but I learned while I was there. And that was the only way that I managed to like start doing businesses out there. And so I would say, definitely, like her minister said, you might start at one point and it will take you to many other places. Through that, I went to Gabon, I went to Cameroon, and this was all through networking with people, meeting people in, you know, good positions of power as well that can really elevate you into places you never thought you could do before. So travel is really important.
Exactly. And another last thing before I go to the next question. Some of you are single, right? Anybody single in here? Don't put up your hand because I'm but those of you who are single, you know, some of you think that, oh, if my partner's not in Brixton, if I don't meet nobody in Brixton, Peckham, Dulwich, then you're going to be single for the rest of your life. Where if you was to travel, you would find your soulmate on your travels. Are you following me? Your queen, your king is waiting for you. But not necessarily in England, because most people in England are stressed and you don't want no relationship with them anyway. You got to squeeze the little joy out of each other, the little happiness, just trying to find it. So let's try our best not to limit ourselves to just those who have 5% of happiness in their life. All right? So next question, please. Who is number 2? Sister.
Nimbiane Nyenkwo Gokkush TV. Nyeyiradon. My name is Adjekum, and right now you're watching Gokkush TV. Thank you.